Well, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. We're going to be going, well, we are live, but we'll be starting here pretty quick. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Reverend Karen Bridges, and I'm one of the ministers at Robertson Wesley United Church. And this is kind of our kids edition, kids church, but it is open to all ages. We never discriminate. And in fact, it's been really nice to have adults and children and youth alike on here with me. So if you're joining me, it's always nice to know who is out there. If you want to send a message letting me know you're online, that would be lovely. Always good. Today we're going to be getting ready for Holy Week. And we started that yesterday by creating Jesus snacks. So if you did happen to make a Jesus snack or make your own fish crackers, I would love to see pictures of them. And you can always email me at You can email me at karen.bridges@rwuc.org. Probably the best way to get me some of your pictures. So I'm hoping that you will check in with me. Who is online? I know a bunch of you were online before when Lee and I were doing some testing for our worship service on Sunday, where you can have more than just one of us at a time. So, all right, like I said, today is the day to prepare ourselves for Palm Sunday. Now, some of you might wonder, well, Karen, what is Palm Sunday? Those of you who have come to church will know that once a year, we will order in some actual palm leaves from like a palm tree. And we take these leaves and we wave them around and we have a parade, usually around the sanctuary. This year, we can't do that. And so I wanted to come up with a creative way to have a virtual palm parade, one that would include as many of you as possible. Now, if you think back to it, as Jesus was going along the journey, Jesus knew that he needed to go to Jerusalem. And so the Lenten journey, that's where he's heading. And he knows that when he gets there, things are going to change. He's facing some really harsh realities, some big challenges, but he also knows that he's going to meet a whole bunch of wonderful people who have been listening to his stories and learning from him over time. So like I said, I wanted to get us ready for a virtual palm parade. If you're joining me, please let me know you're online. It's always nice to know who is watching. So, if somebody famous was coming to town or had done something amazing, like let's say the Oilers won the Stanley Cup, we would typically throw a parade. And so in Canada, for those of you who are joining us from around the world, in Canada, one of the ways we might prepare for a parade is not only to make signs, but we love to get out our cowbells and whatever other noisemakers we can find. If we were to go outside and have a parade today, it would be on the cold side, which means we would be wearing scarves. Now, in Jesus' time and place, Jesus was in a much warmer area. And so people looked around to find anything that was easily found to help cheer Jesus on as Jesus was entering Jerusalem. And so one of the things that was readily available for everyone were palm leaves, because there were lots of palm trees. And so they would pull them off the tree and they would bring them down and they would wave them and they would lay them down on the road to kind of treat Jesus like royalty. We like to use red carpets for stars or kings or queens, princes and all of those princesses. So they would sometimes lay down purple or red carpet. We're at a place where people didn't have a lot, and so they just used what they had. We're in the same boat right now. Being that we're all isolated in our homes, I need you to look around and find whatever it is you can find in your house to make palm branches that we can wave and create our own parade for Sunday. And so one of the things I did was I looked around and I happened to find some green paper, both very different colors, doesn't matter. You can use white paper as well, so if you only have white paper, you can use that and you can color on it if you have coloring thing. If you've only got cardboard, feel free to use cardboard. If you've only got a wooden spoon, I wouldn't suggest coloring on it, but we can definitely use this for our Palm Parade. And so a friend of mine in BC is doing this with her church, and I think it's a great idea. I am not an artist, and I just learned how to invite people onto my live streaming, but I didn't have a chance to talk to Laura, our artist. So you're stuck with me. I'm going to use a pencil just because it's going to be easy. And I'm going to start with this page here. And I'm going to tilt the camera so that you can see a bit better what I am doing. Hopefully that will stay where it is supposed to. So far, so good. Hopefully nothing bad happens. All right, I'm going to take the pencil and I am going to trace my hand, and I'm going to get as close as I can to the edge of my paper because I want to make as many hands on one piece of paper as I can. And I'm just going to trace all the way from my wrist around my fingers. You can be doing this as well at the same time. Tracing our fingers. All right, so I now have one hand print. And now I'm going to try and make another hand print in a way that uses up as much of the paper as possible. Maybe I'll do my other hand. So I've got both hands, and maybe I won't spread my fingers as wide on this one. Or, all right, I think I got a spot. So I'm going to trace this one with my left hand, which could be problematic because I am right-handed. We're tracing. I hope you are all doing this as well, or looking around for some kind of paper. Doesn't have to be pretty. Remember, sometimes palm leaves are brown because they've died. They still work, totally work. So we're tracing out our hand. All right, so I've got two on there. And I want to make one more. So I'm gonna flip it that way and at least do one more on here. Maybe, yeah, more like that. See how that one goes. Doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to, get a sense. So I've got 3 on there. I have some trusty scissors, and I'm going to cut these out carefully, of course. I don't know about you, but I always get excited for Palm Sunday, because Palm Sunday after Lent, where we've been typically singing hymns that are a little on the sadder side or the minor key. Palm Sunday is the time where we get to have some fun and celebrate again and get excited about the fact that Jesus is coming to town. And so, like I said, when celebrities come to town or when we've done something amazing, we love to celebrate by having a parade where we celebrate the person or the achievement that we've done. And so what do you think Jesus had achieved, and why do you think people started coming out to cheer him on as he entered Jerusalem, do you think? Why do you think they were cheering Jesus on? Was it because he had won something? No, I don't think so. Was it maybe, we talked yesterday about some of the things Jesus taught us. Was it about some of those things, or do you think it was maybe the miracles, or maybe some of the healings that he did? I mean, the reality is, back in those days, they didn't have TV or live streaming, and so as they heard stories about this guy, a lot of people would be just really, really curious. Like, who was Jesus? They hadn't seen him yet, so they wanted to figure out who this guy was. And so, I think it was last week, we talked about how Zacchaeus climbed a tree in order to see Jesus coming into Jerusalem. And Zacchaeus happened to be a really short person. So, in parades, when you're really short, sometimes you can't see things. And if you can't get to the edge, you find another way. Some people will sit on the shoulders of their parents. Others might climb a tree. All right, I've got one palm. Get it? It's a palm and a palm. All right, let's keep cutting. I hope you are also making your palm leaves. It's amazing. I look at my fingers and they look really crooked. Craziness. So like I said, the Palm Parade was a way to figure out who Jesus was, to see this amazing person that everybody was talking about. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't believe things until I see them for myself. And I think that was probably the case for a lot of people in that time as well. Especially, like I said, that they didn't have TV or cameras or anything. I mean, maybe somebody would describe Jesus. If you were to describe Jesus, how would you describe Jesus? Was he 10 feet tall and the most amazing person and had these really strong hands that were just, they glowed when he healed people? Do you think they would exaggerate a little bit and make it even better? That, you know, everywhere he walked, he would just emanate this amazing energy that we just had to be part of, and you could feel him coming, or maybe you could hear the cheers for miles and miles away. Can you imagine as Jesus showed up? And of course the disciples were with him. Some people would know who he was, and so they probably start chanting his name, saying, Jesus, 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 and clapping their hands. And like I said, here in Canada, we might bring out our cowbells, because, you know, hey, that's what we've got around here. So yeah, all of those things are important. Did you ever realize that churches love to use bells? We have bells that ring every noon hour at the church at Robertson Wesley here in Edmonton, Alberta. And that's partly to remind us of God. So I got my second palm leaf. I've kind of ruined this hand a little bit, but that's all right. It doesn't matter so much. Didn't really look at it that closely. But I think we can still be excited. Even though we are at home, we can still create a parade in our own house. I'm going to encourage all of you to create something visual, obviously with your palm leaves. And the other thing too, how many of you have been to a hockey game? It might be, again, something that's more quintessentially Canadian. If you've been to a hockey game and you want a famous hockey player to give you a puck and you're a child, what would you do to try and get that puck? Some people might dance really wildly. Some might wave and try and reach out and give a high five to the hockey player. But some are very clever and they create signs that say things like, hey, it's my birthday, I would love to get a puck, or hey, you're my favorite player, you're awesome, those kinds of things. So as you can see, they don't have to be perfect. Now, we have these hands, these palms, and so what we can do is palm leaves can look all sorts of different ways. We could have big palms like this that wave, that we then attach to our spoon, our wooden spoon, or we could do it more I don't know. What do you guys suggest? Would that work? Can that be my palm leaf? All right, I'm going to use some tape, and I'm going to tape my palm leaves together, and then I'm going to tape them to my wooden spoon. So it might be easier to flip it over at that point. And so everyone can do this. And like I said, you can use newspaper, you can use cardboard if you have it at home, whatever you have. But here we go. Here is, oops, and I brought the leftovers. All right, here's my palm leaf that I can wave as Jesus is coming into town. So that's one example of a palm leaf. I've also seen it done where you take like a tube like this, paper towel, maybe even a toilet paper tube would be good as kind of a bottom piece. And what some people do is attach a piece of paper inside of it. Like that maybe. But what they do is they cut it. So maybe we'll cut it first so that we can make leaves. And so all I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it all the way down. I'm going to cut it to about say about there. And I'm just gonna do strips. But you wanna make sure that they're still attached, see what I mean? Now, those of you who are very creative might do it in a slightly nicer way. But we're just, like I said, people did whatever they could in order to cheer people on. If you have St. Patrick's Day stuff that you didn't use because we were suddenly not able to do any of our parades, this is a good time to pull out that green and use it. So what kind of chant do you think you would do as Jesus was coming into town? Would you use like a hockey chant, like, let's go Jesus, let's go. Let's go, Jesus, let's go. Or would you say something like, Jesus, Jesus, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. I don't know. Do you have a cheer? I would love to hear your cheers. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll this up nice and tight, and then use a piece of tape to just connect it together so it doesn't unroll. And then I'm gonna put it in my branch thing. You might not want to tape it too soon. If you tape it too tight, it might be better to kind of get a sense of how thick your tube is. Or you could do it around the outside of it as well. I mean, whatever works for you. As you can see. All right, that's gonna be good enough for me. So I'm gonna tape it on. If you have green tape, painter's tape, that would work. You could put green painter tape like all around the edge to make it a little more awesome. So now we got our palms. So we got two different styles of palm leaves for our parade. So we've got this one and we've got this one. So, yay, Jesus, yay, Jesus over here, look over here. I can't believe he's here. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be awesome. So that's my parade right now. This is what I would do. Some people might bring out noisemakers, pots, pans, whatever you've got in order to do this. So like I said, whatever works, it's totally fine. Like I said, people use palms because that's what was there. So if you want to put these out on your doorstep so people know, one of the interesting things about being Christian and in the Bible is that often people were hiding the fact that they were Christian, or sometimes people would mark their doors in a way to indicate that they were Christian. And so I'm wondering over this time as people are in their homes, I mean at Christmas time we put up Christmas lights. So for Holy Week, what might you do to show that you are Christian? We could start with Sunday, putting up our palms to mark the beginning of Holy Week. On Sunday, we are going to do another Zoom meeting, and I hope that you will all bring your palms with you for our virtual palm parade. I would also love it if you staged a little video at home of you and your parents creating a parade route. So maybe do 2x2 and wave and pretend somebody's coming through, or have somebody be Jesus. Now, Jesus rode in on a donkey or a colt. So if you happen to have like an Eeyore could be your perfect donkey for Jesus. Yeah, but the other thing you could do is create a sign. And so I'm wondering, what kind of sign would we create for Jesus? What might you say? What might you say as a way of getting Jesus' attention? Would you want to thank Jesus for something that he did? Would you want to ask Jesus for something? Would you just want to just show your appreciation? How might you make a sign for Jesus? There's been lots of memes. So people do memes on social media, but we're going to go old school today, and we're going to make like a big sign. So if you have a poster board, or like I said, a big cardboard box, you can make an even bigger sign. I got an idea. Are you ready for this? We love you, Jesus! We love you, Jesus! What do you think? You might want to, do lots of hearts on my poster. I'm sure you're far more artistic and can make it look pretty. Yeah, so what would your sign say to get ready for Jesus? We love you, Jesus, and I'd be waving my palm. Jesus, Jesus, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. All right. So that's part of the way we can get ready for Palm Sunday. Now, for those of you who are a little more creative, I brought with me this beautiful cardboard box that I happened to find downstairs. And what I love about it is that there are quite a few different panels. So I'm just gonna flip you around here. All right, so as you can see, we've got panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so Holy Week, of course, is gonna be 7 days. And so the first day, you might want to draw a picture of Jesus coming into Jerusalem. So I started by, this is going to be challenging. I started by making a road, and I think there would be hills. Hills, yeah, this is my hills. And then I think I'm going to draw a couple palm trees. So there's the trunks. Sometimes they come out in threes. Sometimes they're the really tall type palm trees. I'm gonna add obviously the leaves here, but right now we're gonna do everything we can with a brown felt marker first. We might have another one. They never quite grow straight often. Sometimes they're thicker at the bottom. You get the idea. And I want you to imagine that there's another hill up here. I was never very good with forced perspective, but imagine that there's a big temple. With big gates, stairs. Yeah, I don't know what the temple would look like, but imagine that this is a really important temple that Jesus wanted to get to. Let's see if I have some other colors. Other colors. What other colors would I have? Ooh, look at that. I got my felts. So I'm gonna grab a couple greens for my palm leaves and see if I can add those on. I hope you're looking for some cool stuff as well. So let's make some palm leaves on here. So now, we talked about how Lent, the color of Lent is purple. When we get to Holy Week, the colors change every couple of days. And so on Palm Sunday, we actually use the color red, which is a color of celebration and the Spirit being with us. As you can tell, I am not an artist like Jane, who I know is watching. So try not to laugh too much, but it kind of looks like a palm tree, I figure. Sometimes they have it where they all just kind of stick out in various spots, a little more wide palm. Because there's all sorts of different styles of palm trees. And I hope that you're gonna create a beautiful diorama. You could do this in a shoebox as well. You could use Lego figures. You can create characters and create your own Jesus puppets, so that we can create the Palm Parade and add people. Whatever works would be cool. Well, it's not too bad. I'd say we're getting somewhere. Yeah, so like I said, we might want to have more of a road or people standing on there. We might want to put like Zacchaeus up in the tree. We might want to have people lined up on either side all the way down here. We might put another road here and have people on this side too, so that you can see Jesus riding in on the donkey. I'm not even going to attempt to draw a donkey today. But this would be Palm Sunday, moving into the rest of the story, which we'll hear more about on Sunday. So, like I said, it's time to get ready for the Palm Parade. I want you to get your palm branches. I would love you to make a video or take a picture of waving at Jesus coming to town. So imagine you're in Jerusalem. Imagine that it's hot outside. Imagine that the sun is beating down on you and that you are just beside yourself with excitement for what is to come. Because maybe you weren't a disciple. Maybe you didn't know Jesus very well and you were just curious to figure out who he was. Maybe right now you're listening to this video because you don't know who Jesus is. All we know is that we believe as Christians that Jesus was the chosen one of God, the person who has come here on earth so that we will know God directly, that we have a direct line to God through Jesus. And Jesus shows us how to be good people here on earth, living out what God would want for the world. And we're seeing some of that goodness right now in our world around us, where people are helping each other out in ways they didn't before. And we also know that even when we're sad, we still know that God is with us. That Jesus comforted people who were sad, like Mary and Martha when their brother died. He sat and wept with them. He did manage to bring Lazarus back, which was great. It doesn't always happen. We lose people in our lives, and what we do is we try and remember them, and we remember them in different ways. And so one of the songs that we're going to hear through Holy Week is Jesus Remember Me. And it's a song that we sing often as a chant. And it goes like this. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And then we just repeat that over and over again. Because we want Jesus to remember each of us, and we want to know that we are important to God and to Jesus, and we are. That's the good news. Now, for Palm Sunday, we're not going to sing Jesus Remembers Me, probably, and we'll save that for Maundy, Thursday. I'm not going to tell you what that is. You're going to have to wait and find out on Sunday, or Thursday for that matter. But in this coming week, like I said, we're going to start with a parade on Sunday morning. We are going to sing some Alleluia type songs. We are going to wave our palms that we have now created, and we are going to just have a great celebration. Ring your cowbells, your bells, whatever it is you have, your pots and pans. Knowing that we're cheering on Jesus as he comes to face some really hard things. And then, like I said, we're gonna feast together next week. On Thursday night, we are gonna have a meal. And then on Friday, which we call Good Friday, we're gonna hear about what happens to Jesus. And then on Saturday night, we're gonna have a vigil where we'll get to light candle and pray. And then Sunday morning, something miraculous is gonna happen and our lives are gonna be changed. So, yeah, I hope that you will take the time over the next couple of days to get your posters ready, your palm branches ready. Please send me pictures or videos of what you're doing, and that way we can, cheer each other on and cheer on Jesus and create this wonderful mystical story of the last week of Jesus' life. Now, does anybody know how old Jesus was? How old we think Jesus was the last week of his life? Does anybody have any idea? How old was Jesus? Was he 12? Was he 18, an adult? Was he 25? Was he 30? Was he 60? Maybe 100? How old do you think Jesus was in the last week of his life? It's a really fun number. And it has some religious significance in my mind. Have you ever heard of the Trinity? Well, double it and you will get to Jesus' age. And I'll let you try and figure out what that means. The Trinity, though, is how God is experienced as 3 in 1. As God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. 3 in 1, tied together in what we call the Trinity. Three in 1. And that is all I'm going to tell you for now. Get your chants ready too. If you happen to come up with a much better chant than I do, I would love to hear them. But that is all for today. Good luck with your dioramas. Good luck with your palm leaves. I am going to sign off and be thankful that you all joined me today. And as always, we end with our prayerful sign off, knowing that we are not alone because God loves us. God sees us and God believes in us. And we give God thanks for that. So go with the Spirit of Christ, knowing what is to come. And we will celebrate together on Sunday. For kids, we'll meet at 9:30. All right, see you later, friends. Bye-bye.